Are you struggling to keep up with boxing? Download the Boxing Showtimes app for the latest fight schedules, full undercards, boxer stats, news, and real-time updates. It's more than just an app, it's the boxing community you want to join.
Let's talk about the Riad show, Dom. We did some predictions last week, and I think you pretty much got everything. In fact, you got everything right. I think one outcome you got slightly wrong, but we'll come to that. Let's start with Lee McGregor, Isaac Lowe. You said Lee McGregor would win on points, which he did. What did you think of that fight, the way it played out, and then just maybe the future for Isaac Lowe? It was a competitive fight.
Yeah, good fight. Lee McGregor just, boxed his way through that fight, and, I think he kind of beat Isaac every round, but Isaac keeps coming, doesn't he? He's a traveller. He got in tremendous shape. My friend Greg Merritt got him in tremendous shape, and that's probably why he lasted the rounds. He's not known as being a good liver outside of the ring, but obviously when it came on the night, he entertained, and it was a good fight. But he pulled through the other fella and got the result.
He sure did. I think Jimmy Harrington, who was part of Isaac's team as well, he's a big listener of the show.
Oh yeah, Jimmy's been down a few times. I knew him in the gym, and I catch him up every now and again at local shows, and we always have a little catch up, and he's always walking around with his Liam Gallagher swag on, you know what I mean? He'll be over at Munda Oasis reuniting for next year, and so I've always got a bit of time for Jimmy. Yeah,
he's a good guy. It was good for conversation. Next fight, I'll kind of do it in a rough order of fights that have caused the most noise. And we've got Ishmael Davis. You said Bahuchuk. I got his name wrong last time, but it's Bahuchuk, his name. He would stop him somewhere in the middle rounds. And I think you said the referee might feel for him, but it was the other way around. It was a corner that stopped it.
Yeah,
so.
But it's a smart move because there's no shame in that, and he's tested the waters, hasn't he? And gladly, thankfully that his corner didn't let him go to the point where the referee had to stop it, or he got stopped. That's sometimes when you get into a fight, you watch the first couple of rounds and see how it's going and engage whether your man can, he can get through that fight. But if he's coming under heavy fire, he's taking a lot of damage and he's not winning the rounds, there's no point getting to the end of it, because sometimes you've got to get a measure and live to fight another day. And the smart move is, there's no point to, taking unnecessary damage in a fight. You're not going to get, you're not going to win. So the corner pulled a smart move. Then hopefully he'll regroup. He's had that kind of experience and he'll learn from that. Definitely.
It was. I spoke to his coach afterwards. It was quite it was good to see that his coach cares a lot about him, and I think the vibe I got was he wasn't 100% all in for the fight, but obviously it was a balance of, I don't know, you could probably give us an example maybe, that kind of money on the table, which was well more than 10 times what he was going to get paid to fight on a small card compared to what he got paid. But the risk was he was fighting an absolute monster.
I'll give you an example. We had a fighter, Junior Witter, and he got the call to fight Zab Judah. He wasn't even in the IBF ratings. They managed to work it, and he got in. I think Ricky Hatton had turned the fight down. A lot of 10 stoners at the time, Mark Winters, Jason Rowlands, they all turned the fight. I think originally Jason Rowlands was supposed to win against him, and he pulled out. I might be wrong. Anyway, all the 10 stoners at that time wouldn't fight him, and they were desperate. So we put Junior Witter in, and Junior Witter got an idea that he could be in this fight, and he just kept ticking off. He wasn't 100%, but he took the fight, and we knew he got the style to get through the rounds. We didn't think he was going to win, and people said, well, why did you bother taking it? Well, sometimes you have to test yourself at the top level and find out where your fighter is. And I remember Junior Witter got paid X amount of money, decent payday for what it was, and he got through the 12 rounds, and the money he paid us, and then the money he had left, he paid off all his debt on his credit cards, what he'd been using to finance himself to be a boxer. He cleared his debt, and from that point on, I think Frank then kind of gave him a contract, and it enabled him to then to fight and train as a boxer and make his career. So it was a loss, but he set his career off, and he went on to become world champion, British, European, Commonwealth, the lot. So sometimes you have to take a bit of a hit to get yourself in front, and that's what Junior did. So it paid off in the long run. So like I say, you can't turn that kind of money down, you can't turn down the opportunity, and you can also get a measure of yourself where you are in the big picture, and you've got to have that measure. So fair play to him for taking it.
And because there's an argument whether that's going to have lasting damage or anything like that, but based on what your opinion is, do you think that was in hindsight good move to get that kind of financial security in place now for him to kind of.
Well, you could get damage for a third of that money. You could be getting, look, boxing's a damaging game. Every fight you have, when you're getting hit, even sparring, it's damaging. But it's how you live your life. And he's a relatively young man. He'll recover from that. Give him some time out. Give him some time to regroup, and then come back. And that's the smart move. And he won't be having to take fights. You know, that'll give him a bit of a cushion, that money. If he's smart, I'll give him a bit of a cushion. I'll take a bit of pressure off him, and they can pick and choose. And, you know, people will see his quality, and he will come through. But he went from this kind of level to this level all in one go. And he, like you said, I said in the early interview, he's got to go up in steps. You've got to go up in steps, and he'll learn from that, and he'll come back. Just like I said, watch this space with him, because he will turn out a good kid.
Definitely, he's a dedicated young man as well, so hopefully we wish him the best on that. So next fight, Moses Itauma. This is a fight, I think a lot of people had Moses was going to stop him, so I was surprised when you said you'd think he'd been on point. So he blitzed Dempsey McKean in a round, 2 knockdowns, incredible stoppage. What did you make of Moses Itauma?
Hey, like I say, he went out and he dropped one over the top and banged him out, didn't he? I just thought that other kid would have a bit more resistance, a bit more resilient. Obviously he wasn't. He got caught straight away. You don't find many fighters coming out like Moses, but obviously he did. And you know, like he's only young. He's got a lot to learn, and he's relatively inexperienced. He's banging everybody out, and everybody's raving about him, and that's good. But there will be somebody out there who'll slow him down, who'll know what he's about, and he's kind of give the game away with that fight, going out and blitzing somebody in the first round. Don't forget Anthony Joshua doing all that kind of stuff early on. Obviously not at 19 years old, but then he came up short when people started taking him the distance, or you know.
He's had a few fights where he has gone the distance against like hard guys.
Yeah,
that don't
I'm saying, but that's like he's only young in, and the only thing what's going to really improve him now is his time and experience. That's what it is. And you know, like I always say, that if you've got that power and you're confident about having your power, then the thing to do is to practice what you're not particularly good at, and practice the boxing part of it, because the power is always going to be there, but the hardest thing to learn is the technique of boxing, and fight your way through when you meet somebody equally as powerful as you. So that's where you've got to learn. For me, you know, if that was my fighter, I'd be saying to him, look, yeah, you're probably capable of banging this kid out in the first round, but go out and get a few rounds in first, feel him out, see where he is, set him up, give him the angles, set the traps, start learning your trade. Be confident of that. If you're confident about yourself, then you can give these people 2 and 3 rounds and get into it. It's what Naz used to do. Naz would go out, he probably could have banged a lot of his kids out in 1 or 2 rounds. He'd always pick the round, was it round 3 or round 4, whatever he picked. Because he probably looked and thought, yeah, I can bang him out in a round, but I'll hold him up a little bit, make it a bit entertaining, pick the shots, set a few traps, and then I'll get him out in style. And that's what he did. And I think my advice to him would be get the rounds in, learn to get around the ring, negotiate the rounds, because that's when it's all going to change, when the rounds start going on.
He when he set out, because he got signed by Francis Warren, I think before he even became professional. He's obviously got the Warrens backing him, trained by Ben Davison now, and he's I think when they set out, the plan was to try and make him the youngest heavyweight world champion. He's 19 and a few months. Mike Tyson did it at 20. Looking at the heavyweight picture and how things could kind of evolve in the next 12 months, if you was kind of guessing, do you think he could potentially break that record, or
that he could beat Usyk?
Not Usyk, but the belts are going to get scattered. I think it's quite obvious to see.
Well,
if you look at the heavyweight picture, do you think he could pick a belt up and equal that record?
Well, he could do. Listen, I might be wrong. When is he 20?
I think he's got another. I don't know exactly, but he's probably got some time left.
It's probably not worth the risk to try and break a record. Do you know what I mean? So if the chance comes, it's like boxing's a long time, and it's a short career, should I say? So you've got to plan it carefully. And
just for clarity, he's going to be 20 on the 28th of December. So he's basically
he's got a year.
Yeah, he's got a year. Yeah.
So you know, he's break, unless you're getting 5 million quid for becoming the youngest, and somebody's putting a bounty on it. I don't think there's much point, you know, breaking that record. It's just if you can become world champion and sustain being world champion for a long time, that's where the benefit is.
I'm going to have to disagree with that. I think to be recognised in history as the youngest heavyweight world champion, that's a risk worth taking.
Well, do you look at Mike Tyson now and look at him as he is and say, oh yeah, he was the youngest heavyweight champion? Most people all can think he got beat by Jake Paul.
I think on recent terms maybe, but I think most people...
The old fans will be looking at that, and when it matters, I don't think it matters that much these days. It mattered back in them days when there were quality fights around and the heavyweight division was where it was, and he was ripping through everybody. Times have changed, and you know, records come and go, and it's all throwaway stuff now. So, you know,
I'll just drop some names at you. Potentially, he could end up fighting any one of these for a world title if become vacant. You got Caballero, Martin Bacoli. These are the realistic ones. Lawrence Okoli, Zile Zhang, Fabio Wardley potentially. F.A. Jagba, you probably don't know who that is, but it's an American guy. Dillian White, you never know. And Kubrat Pulev, who won a fight recently as well. So these are the kind of names in the top 10.
Yeah, and most of them he'd probably beat, and I'd have to, you know, I haven't watched a lot of him, to be honest, and I'd have to have a look at him and see. But, you know, look at Okoli, yeah, he'd probably beat him.
Johnny Fisher.
Yeah, he's not, well, look, we can talk about Johnny Fisher another time, but I think he's a different kettle of fish, this young fella, innit? He's got a lot of ambition, he's young, he's strong, he's got a bit of a Nigerian in him, which, you know, so you look at them Nigerians, like Herby-eyed, tough, Anthony Joshua, they've got this kind of thick setness about them and power and strength, haven't they? So he's definitely going to be one to be watched, and he's definitely going to be, you know, right up there, and it'll be good because he'll be exciting, he's young, and hopefully this is the next fellow who's going to come behind the Joshuas and the Tysons, what's going to light up the heavyweight division, and we're going to have the champion, but they've got to be careful with him and not be too over ambitious. So, you know, he's signed with Frank Warren, and that's a good build-up because Frank's not stupid. He knows how to build these kids and build the big fights. So it's going to be interesting, and it's probably come around about at the right time. You know, we you know, emptying the heavyweight division there, the top fighters. We've got a few still scattering around, but, you know, he's only 19 and he's got plenty of time, hasn't he? So it's exciting times ahead.
Definitely. So yeah, I think just wrapping up, I think I did his first ever interview, and he was, I think just turned 17. I did his first interview, and he was surprised that, you know, I knew who he was, but I heard whispers of him, and I think British boxing have got a future star in their hands.
Definitely.
And the next fight, the one, this is an interesting one because you got some personal connection to it. Dave Allen, Johnny Fisher. You picked Johnny Fisher to win on points, but I think in...
No, what you're supposed to say is you picked Johnny Fisher to win on points and he won on points. That's what you got to say. There's all ifs and buts, but regardless of that fight, yeah, sorry.
But he won on points, but obviously a lot of people's opinions. Sam Jones was Johnny's manager. He himself said in an interview that he feels, you know, Dave could have got the fight. And I think if you watch the way the fight played out, I think most people's opinions, Johnny won the first 4, and then the fight flipped when he got dropped and he took a big shot to the ear. I think he had blood coming out of his ear as well. He went to the hospital, and thankfully he's all well and good now. But the fight kind of turned on its head. You said, you know, you felt Dave Allen wouldn't be, his best days are behind him, but he turned back the clock, and I think he took personal inspiration because he mentioned it on Instagram a while ago that he was going to prove you wrong. So,
and that's good. I mean,
did he prove you wrong, Dom?
He did prove me wrong, and I'm glad he proved me wrong. And the other thing is, I know Dave Allen, and I know he's a bit of a lazy sod. He is, you know what I mean? He's lazy, and he won't mind me saying that. And he's been down here, and I've known him for a long time. And he's only ever going to get a straight answer off me. And we had a conversation outside the gym. He did a little bit of a video with him and his dad, and I think he was confident. He knew the answer to the question, and he said, like, who was a better fighter between me and my dad? I went, your dad. He went, well, his dad just laughed, but his dad was vicious. You know, but fair play to Dave, and I always had it in my mind when I gave that prediction that I know Dave watches these, and the thing is with Dave is he fights best when his back's up against the wall and he thinks everybody's against him, and that's the best way, because Dave's one of them type of kids, if you say to him, oh, you're going to win this fight easy, he'll think, yeah, I'm going to win this fight easy, and he'll toss it off. He will. So, you know, I'm glad he's proved me wrong, but, you know, it was a bit, I'm not going to say it was tongue-in-cheek when I made that prediction. You know, you've got to see what kind of Dave Allen turns up, because Dave's got a good measure how to measure people and if you can beat them. And like I say, he slacked off so many times in fights in the past when he was riding high with Matchroom and doing what he was doing. He was taking the piss, really, about what people were doing for him. He weren't putting the time in, and he should have been. And now he's realising, he's a bit older, he's got a couple of kids, I think. He's settled down, he's managing a couple of fighters, he's doing really well. He's probably, you know, if he could have been like he is now 5 years ago, he would have done tremendously well because he definitely got the ability. But you just never knew what Dave Allen was going to turn up. Look at them fights he had. I think, was it at Bramall Lane when he got the draw against, for the Commonwealth? It's a fight he should have won. I think it was one of Sean Porter's dad's kids, weren't it? Because I think they trained.
Was it a cut? Was it a cut or something? I can't remember.
I think it was. I think it was one of them. Anyway, so I'm glad, that Dave's, so-called proved me wrong, and like I don't mind that. I'm glad, and for me, I did think he got the result. He should have got the result. People say, well, it's this and that. Look, Johnny Fisher's a prospect. He's young. Dave Allen's considered past it. No promoter. Johnny Fisher's promoter mushroom. When push comes to shove, keying in all those elements, they're going to give him the nod. If it's a close enough fight, they're going to edge towards. And who's going to kick up? Who's going to kick off? Dave's got no promoter. He's got nobody to stand up for him. Nobody to contest it. The simple thing for that fight is this, and this is what Eddie used to do. When Kell Brook boxed Carson Jones and he had a life and death and scraped past the finish post of the first fight, Eddie said, you've got to fight him again and prove that you can do this kid in before we can move you forward. And Kell boxed him. Again, I think he boxed him at Doncaster or somewhere like that and filled him in and beat him and moved on. Well, that's what Johnny Fisher's got to do. He's got to box Dave Allen again and prove to everybody that he's got the beatings of the likes of Dave Allen. And that's not being detrimental to Dave Allen. You know what I mean? So forget moving. And it's same with Ben Whittaker. He's got to beat Liam Cameron to move forward. Don't care anybody says. Otherwise, they're just conning the public. And it's same with Johnny Fisher. If he doesn't box Dave Allen again, then they're just conning the public. And you can't buy into that because they've got to pass these tests. Dave's a bit of a gatekeeper now, and you've got to get past the gatekeeper. Not swerve the gatekeeper, swerve past him and do, look that way and then run the other way. You've got to beat these people to people to have confidence in you. So give Dave Allen the rematch, and prove to everybody that you can beat Dave Allen. That's what you've got to do.
How did you score it?
Yeah, I'd give it to Dave by about 2 rounds.
Okay, and obviously you had the knockdown as well.
Well, I'll say, 2 rounds.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. What did you think of I don't know if you watched the interview I did with Dave at the end. He was quite passionate, obviously. Something interesting he said to me, and it struck me. He said he swallowed it against Fraser Clark because he was thinking about his kids. Then at the same time, he said this time round, he was thinking about his kids, but he was thinking in a different context to provide a better future for them. So he was refusing to quit or anything like that. So he kind of used it as motivation rather than thinking, I've got to get back home to him. I've never known anyone say anything like that, admitting that because I've heard people say before, if you've got quit in you, you've always got it in you. How's this guy managed to have that quit in him to then? Well,
I don't think Dave has got it. Look, I think Dave's a very emotional guy. I don't think he has got quit in him, and I think when he was talking about Fraser Clark, that's what he might be going through his mind. But he probably thought it was probably more down the lines of what do I really need to be here for when I've got responsibilities there. That's more it is. I don't think Dave Allen's he's not a quitter, but he's probably got a bit of self-doubt and thinking, what do I need to be doing this for? So he probably had a bit of reality check, and then he realised, further down the line, getting through that. Well, the way to combat this is not to take chances, is train hard, live your life properly, take all the possibilities of getting beat or anything that seriously happened to you, get it out of the equation, because he'll tell you himself, when he writes a book, he'll be a bestseller, the way he prepared for some fights. So I always remember Kell Brook saying to me, when I'm in a fight, don't ever mention my kids or my family. Not that I ever do to any fighter anyway. He says, because when I get in that ring, I ain't got anybody. There's nobody. There's no mum, dad, kids, missus. It's just me. It's like I'm in a different mindset. I don't think about that. I don't want to be thinking about that. And that's what's saying. Don't be reminding me about when I get in there. It's just me and them, and they want to do me, and I want to do them, and that's all that matters. And then afterwards, we can have other thoughts, but you can't be thinking of that in the ring. You've got to be able to detach yourself from that situation. And obviously Dave got into that situation against Fraser Clark, and then he kind of used it a different way in this fight. But I think you have got to be a bit detached when you're boxing. You've got to keep your mind clear, and it's it's survival of the fittest. You've got to just be thinking about you surviving, and then think about all the reasons why you need to survive it. And I looked at that fight, and One thing I'll say about Johnny Fisher is he took some massive uppercuts. Dave Allen was hitting him so hard off them uppercuts. I'm surprised that's the worst shot. And you know, he took some big shots off Dave Allen. So fair play to Johnny Fisher, but you don't want to be taking, and he kept taking them uppercuts. So you know, quite a few. It's something he's got to learn to avoid. But he took some massive shots off Dave Allen, and Dave couldn't finish him. So you've got to give Johnny Fisher, you know, credit for that. But you know, if Johnny really wants to prove everybody wrong or move forward, you know, properly, he's got to box Dave Allen again.
Yeah, I think he summed it up nicely. I think Johnny proved what a tough man he is as well.
One, two, let's go. Hey.